Back in 2015, the Force was strong with anticipation. George Lucas had sold the Star Wars franchise to Disney a few years prior, and J.J. Abrams was hired to take over the reins. The Force Awakens promised a glorious return to a galaxy far, far away, and fans couldn't wait to see Luke Skywalker wield his lightsaber once more. But when the credits rolled, Mark Hamill's grand return turned out to be a silent stare on a cliff. One brief moment, 0 lines, and worst of all, no reunion with Harrison Ford or Carrie Fisher. The actor himself was none too pleased.
They didn't want me going out on these talk shows when Episode 7 came out, right? I got a phone call. You're not on the poster. I said, fine, it's just another in a series of humiliations. So, I don't want to be on your poster. You don't want me on the poster? I don't want to be on your poster!
George Lucas was also nonplussed.
They wanted to do a retro movie. I don't like that. Every movie I worked very hard to make them different. And make them completely different with, different planets, with different spaceships, with different, to make it new.
So are you at peace with this?
Yeah.
As much as you can be?
Yeah.
See through you. We can.
Then, in 2017 came The Last Jedi, written and directed by Rian Johnson. In this installment, Mark Hamill gets a lot more screen time. We find out Luke Skywalker is a disillusioned hermit living in exile on a remote planet and no longer believes in the Force. The movie left fans incredibly frustrated. While promoting it, Mark Hamill could not bite his tongue. He felt the character's cynical, broken portrayal betrayed the hopeful hero fans knew from the original trilogy.
What's the biggest difference from when we last saw Luke in the end of Return of the Jedi to when we meet him now in The Last Jedi?
That's the mystery of the ages. Since it's no longer my story and there's a new protagonist, I had to try and fill in that for myself. It's not important to the story, but it is for the actor to try and figure out, who is this guy? How did the most optimistic, hopeful character in the galaxy turn into this hermit who says it's time for the Jedi to end? I read that and I said, what?
So it is time for the Jedi Order to end. Time it is.
I mean, that's not what a Jedi does. I mean, a Jedi is optimistic. A Jedi has tenacity. He never gives up. He doesn't secrete himself on an island. But you'll see. I mean, the wait for 8 is nearly over.
Revealed, your opinion is.
As the press tour went on, Mark Hamill couldn't hide his true feelings. Sometimes he'd make it a joke.
Is there anything that you want us to know going into The Last Jedi? Anything you want to tell the audience or the world about this one in comparison to the other ones?
It's the longest one.
Other times, he'd try to put a more positive spin on the experience.
I think being pushed out of your comfort zone in this case was a good thing. Although I still say a Jedi would never give up. But that's old school. This is the new generation.
In the end, it all came down to writer-director Rian Johnson. His interpretation of Star Wars was in a different galaxy than the previous movies.
I said to Rian, Jedis don't give up. I mean, even if he had a problem, he would maybe take a year to try and regroup. But if he made a mistake, he would try and right that wrong. So right there, we had a fundamental difference. I almost had to think of Luke as another character. Maybe he's Jake Skywalker. He's not my Luke Skywalker, but I had to do what Rian wanted me to do because it serves the story well. But listen, I still haven't accepted it completely, but it's only a movie. I hope people like it. I hope they don't get upset. And I came to really believe that Rian was the exact man that they needed for this job.
Shortly after The Last Jedi blasted in theaters, Mark Hamill seemed to have a change of heart. Perhaps the powers that be got to him. He put out a tweet that read, "I regret voicing my doubts and insecurities in public. Creative differences are a common element of any project, but usually remain private. All I wanted was to make good movie. I got more than that. At Rian Johnson made an all-time great one. Hashtag humbled Hamill." It must be weird having to promote such a huge movie when you're not happy with the storyline. Kudos to him for being real. It also happens to be the majority opinion shared by fans and other cast members.
Congrats on The Last Jedi.
Thank
Really
you.
enjoyed it.
Thank
you happy
you.
with it?
Sure. Yeah.
Let's go with that.
In an interview with USA Today, Daisy Ridley was asked if the controversy surrounding The Last Jedi surprised her. I wasn't surprised, no. It's just a different thing. Everyone's going to have an opinion now anyway on the internet, but I also think it's fair. If people hold something incredibly dear and think they know how it should be, and it's not like that, it's fair for people to think they were done wrong. John Boyega also voiced his dissatisfaction with the movie in a conversation with Hypebeast. The Force Awakens, I think, was the beginning of something quite solid. The Last Jedi, if I'm being honest, I'd say that was feeling a bit iffy for me. I didn't necessarily agree with a lot of the choices in that, and that's something that I spoke to Mark a lot about, and we had conversations about it.
This is not going to go the way you think.
Now, many years on, The Last Jedi is as polarizing and controversial as ever. The topic came up yet again when Mark Hamill appeared on Bullseye with Jesse Thorne. The host offered him what I would call a hot take.
I love the original 3 Star Wars movies, but I think my favorite Star Wars movie might be The Last Jedi, which is in a lot of ways your movie, I think.
Mark Hamill is stunned to hear him say that. He then takes the opportunity to get something off his chest.
Here's the thing, and I'd love to clear this up. Rian Johnson is one of the most gifted directors I've ever worked with. He's amiable, he's fun on set, he's smart. I love Knives Out and Brick and Looper. He's one of my favorite directors. And the fact that I went public with my dissatisfaction with the motivation for Luke becoming a suicidal hermit might have colored things in a way that maybe I should have kept that to myself.
The movie explains that Luke Skywalker went into hiding after his former student Kylo Ren, son of Han Solo, attacked him and his students at the Jedi Academy. That wasn't good enough in Hamill's opinion.
He had vanished with a handful of my students and slaughtered the rest. Leia blamed Snoke, but it was me. I failed.
I said, Ryan, I saw entire planets wiped out. If anything, Luke doubles down and it hardens his resolve in the face of adversity. So that's all. I said, can I make up my own backstory of why he is the way he is? I don't want to just say that, I have bumped my head and I have brain damage. He said, yeah, do whatever you want.
To help inform his performance, Hamill created a darker backstory for Luke Skywalker that would better justify his exiled existence. And when I say darker, I mean much darker.
I thought, what could make someone give up a devotion to what is basically a religious entity, to give up being a Jedi? Well, the love of a woman. So he falls in love with a woman. He gives up being a Jedi. They have a child together. At some point, the child, as a toddler, picks up an unattended lightsaber, pushes the button, and is killed instantly. The wife is so full of grief, she kills herself. I thought that would be, because I think about, I hear these horrible stories about these children that find unattended guns and so forth and wind up dead. And I thought that resonated with me so deeply that that could possibly, but he didn't have the time to tell a backstory like that, I'm guessing. He just wanted a brief thing to explain it. And to me, it didn't justify it.
He goes on to reiterate that he has nothing against Rian Johnson and that they simply had different visions for the character.
Despite the fact that I disagree with your choices for Luke, I'm going to do everything within my power to make your screenplay work as best that I can. And the only thing unfortunate about that is I've heard comments from fans who think that I somehow
dislike Rian Johnson, and nothing could be further from the truth.
So there you have it. Mark Hamill is a big fan of Rian Johnson's, as long as it's not a Star Wars movie. Although there's no apparent beef, I don't think we'll be seeing him in a Knives Out sequel anytime soon.
What are you going to do? That's life.
What do you think of The Last Jedi? Is Mark Hamill correct, or was a depressed Luke Skywalker the right way to go? Let us know in the comments.
What if someone else beside you came to you and said, I want to make episode 7? Could you see that happening?
No.
As always, thanks for watching. Please like and subscribe, and we'll see you in the next one.